In this video, we're continuing on with the secant angles worksheet on the KutaSoftware website under the geometry section, picking up where we left off with number 11, where we're solving for x. In number 11, the intersection occurs within the circle. Therefore, the angle formed by the intersection of chords will equal half the sum of the intercepted arcs. So 60 degrees, that angle will equal half of the sum of 5x plus 15 plus 55 degrees. I'll start by multiplying both sides by 2 in order to cancel out the 1/2. So I'll have 120 degrees equal to 5x, and I'll combine 15 and 55, so 5x plus 70. Now when I subtract 70 from both sides, 120 minus 70 is 50, so 50 will be equal to 5x, which when I divide by 5, that will give me that 10 is equal to x for number 11. In number 12, the chords form an inscribed angle because they share the same endpoint that is on the edge of the circle. So 88 degrees is going to equal half the sum of the intercepted arc, and since there's only one arc formed, that's half of 15x plus 11. So multiplying both sides by 2, 88 times 2 is 176, and that's going to be equal to 15x plus 11. So I'll subtract 11 from both sides to get 165 equal to 15x. And when I divide by 15, 165 divided by 15 is 11. So 11 is equal to x in number 12. In number 13, the intersection is formed inside the circle, so the angle formed by those intersected chords, which happens to be 124 degrees, is going to be equal to half of the sum of the arc lengths. So that's going to be 1/2 of RQ of 197 plus half of SC, which is 9x minus 3. So again, starting by multiplying both sides by 2 and simplifying inside the parentheses, I'll get 248 equal to 197 minus 3, which is 194 plus 9x. Subtracting 194 from both sides, I'll get that 54 is equal to 9x. And lastly, I'll divide by 9 to get that 6 is equal to x in number 13. And lastly, for this set of directions, number 14. Again, the chord's intersection occurs on the edge of the circle. So the angle, 9x minus 7, is going to be half of the measure of the arc, 17x minus 2. So in this case, I'll start by distributing 1/2. So 9x minus 7 will equal 17 divided by 2, which is 8.5, x minus 1/2 times 2, which is 1. Now I'm going to subtract 8.5x from both sides. So 9x minus 8.5x is 0.5x, or 1/2 x, and when we subtract 7, that's going to equal -1. Now I'll add 7 to both sides to get that 1/2 x is equal to -1 plus 7, which is a positive 6. My last step will be to multiply both sides by 2. 2 will cancel out the 1/2 since 2 times 1/2 is 1, and 1 times x is x, and then 6 times 2 is equal to 12. So 12 is x in number 14. Now for the next set of problems, 15 through 18, we're going to be finding the measure of the arc or angle indicated. So we're going to be solving for x, and then plugging x back in to solve for that arc or angle. We're finding the measure of arc KLM, this large arc. Remember that a circle adds up to 360 degrees. So KLM will equal 360 degrees minus this section of arc MK. Subtracting that arc will leave us with KLM. But first, let's solve for arc MK. Now, we have an inscribed angle, MLK. So that inscribed angle, 5x minus 1, will equal half the measure of the arc MK, which is 8x plus 14. Distributing that 1/2, we'll have 5x minus 1 equal to 4x plus 7. So now I'm going to subtract 4x from both sides, canceling out my 4x, and at the same time I'll add 1 to both sides, canceling out my negative 1 on the left. 5x minus 4x is 1x, or x, and 7 plus 1 is 8. So now that I know what x is equal to, I can plug that in for the x for mk. So 8 times x value of 8 plus 14 equals that arc mk. 8 times 8 is 64, and when we add 14 to 64, we get 78 degrees for the measure of arc mk. So now we'll take 360 degrees and subtract the measure of arc mk of 78 degrees to get that the measure of arc KLM is 282 degrees. And that was 360 degrees minus 78 degrees. In number 16, we're finding the measure of angle QPR. Angle QPR. We're given that that angle is equal to 26x minus 2. Also note that the intersection of chords occurs inside the circle, so 26x minus 2 is going to equal half of the sum of the intercepted arcs. So that's QR of 131 plus VS of 18x plus 1. Now I'll start by multiplying both sides by 2, and in doing so I'll have to distribute the 2, and then I'll also combine like terms. So 2 times 26x is 52x, and we're subtracting 2 times 2, which is 4, and that's equal to 131 plus 1, 132, plus 18x. I'll subtract 18x from both sides in order for my 18x's to cancel out, and at the same time I'll add 4 to both sides in order for my negative 4 to cancel out. So 52 minus 18 is going to leave us with 34x, and that's equal to 132 plus 4, which is 136. And finally, I'll divide by 34 to get that x is equal to 4. Now that I know that x is 4, I'll take that value of 4 and plug it in for the measure of angle QPR, that equation of my angle that contains the variable x. So that'll be 26 times 4 minus 2. 26 times 4 is 104, and when I subtract 2, I'll get 102 degrees for the measure of angle QPR. In number 17, I'm looking for arc RB, which is the larger intercepted arc of 13x plus 7. Now, since my intersection of chords occurs outside of the circle, I'm going to be taking the difference of the intercepted arcs. So that angle, 5x minus 10, equals 1/2 of the difference of 13x plus 7 minus 60 degrees. I'll start again by multiplying both sides by 2, and then I'll distribute that 2. And as I distribute that 2, I'll also combine like terms within my parentheses on the right. So 2 times 5x is 10x minus 2 times 10, which is 20, and that's equal to 13x plus 7 minus 60, which is a negative 53. So plus a negative 53, or simply subtracting a positive 53. Now what I'll do, I'll add 53 to both sides in order for my 53 to cancel out, and I'll subtract 10x from both sides in order for my 10x to cancel out on the left. So essentially I've moved all my terms with x to the right and my terms without x to the left. Negative 20 plus 53 is equal to 33, and 13x minus 10x is 3x. So dividing by 3, I'll get that 11 is equal to x. Now I'll take that value of x and plug it in for the measure of arc RB. So 13 times 11 plus 7 will give me my measurement. 13 times 11 is equal to 143, and when I add 7, I'll get 150 degrees for number 17. So 150 degrees is my solution. Number 18 is the last problem on this worksheet. However, before I go over the answer to this, if you found this worksheet helpful, please give me a thumbs up, and while you're at it, subscribe to my channel. All likes and subscriptions are greatly appreciated, and let me know that you're finding these useful. Now, in number 18, we're finding the measure of arc BC, which they give us in terms of x. That is 8x plus 11. Notice that the intersection of chords occurs within the circle, so I'm going to be summing the intercepted arcs. The angle, 8x plus 6, is equal to half the sum of the intercepted arcs. So that's going to be 9x minus 7 plus 8x plus 11. I'll start by multiplying both sides by 2. 2 times 8x is 16x plus 2 times 6, which is 12. That's going to be equal to, now I'll combine my like terms, 9x and 8x, and negative 7 and 11. So 9x plus 8x is 17x, and negative 7, or subtracting 7, taking away 7 from a positive 11, will equal a positive 4. So now I'll subtract 16x from both sides to get that 12 is equal to 17x minus 16x, which is 1x, or x, plus 4. Then I'll subtract 4 from both sides to get that x is equal to 12 minus 4, which is 8. So 8 is x in number 18. Now I'll take that value of 8 and plug it in for x. So I'll have 8 times 8 plus 11 for the measure of arc BC. 8 times 8 is 64 plus 11 equals 75 degrees. So 75 degrees is the measure of arc BC in number 18. And if you didn't do so before this problem, like, subscribe, and share. Also, if you have any questions, feel free to leave them below.